Turner NCAA basketball analyst Brendan Haywood joining the Rich Eisen show. What's up, Brendan? How we doing today, my man?
Man, what's going on, man? Glad that you guys have me on.
I'm glad that you can come on to help me figure out what the heck is going to happen on Saturday. I've said, look, it's two matches, okay, two matchups. It's the main event, which is the late game, Villanova and Kansas, but the undercard, Michigan versus Loyola Chicago. And when you look at Michigan, one of the hottest teams right now in all of college basketball, 13 games in a row that they've won. But Brendan, I was at that game, the Elite Eight matchup, versus Florida State. They didn't shoot the ball fairly well. What will they need to do in this game, in the Final Four, if they're not shooting the ball well? How will Michigan win this game?
Well, first of all, even though you're a football guy, you're very astute at basketball. You have to shoot the ball well if you're Michigan. 3 of their 4 games, of their last 4 games in the tournament, they didn't shoot the ball well. They had that one hot shooting game against Texas A&M, but besides that, they haven't been shooting the ball great in the tournament. They're going to have to do that against Loyola. Offense is one of Michigan's calling cards. And then also defensively, they're going to have to make Loyola uncomfortable. Too many teams let Loyola come out there, run their sets. They're excellent at it. They take time off the clock. They're patient. They read the matchups correctly. They find a mismatch. And because Loyola is a team full of a bunch of guys that average between about 13 to 10 points, you can't hone in on one guy. So when I saw Loyola struggle was when teams like Nevada and teams like Kansas State picked up their pressure, but they picked up their pressure because they were losing. What you need to do is start and pick up your pressure from the beginning of the game. Make Loyola uncomfortable. Michigan has an athlete advantage. They need to use that from the very start of the game.
The one thing is Loyola Chicago has shot, 60% from the field throughout the tournament. And you mentioned how do you kind of disrupt their flow of what's going on. The comparison I make is this, Brendan. You're climbing Mount Everest, right? Loyola Chicago's climbing, they're climbing. They see the top of the mountain. But all of a sudden, before they get there, they look back or they look down and like, I didn't know we were this high up. Is there some sort of that possibly in this Final Four matchup for them that they realize, hey, we're not even supposed to, are we good enough to even be in this Final Four?
I think the fact that people didn't think they will be here will come as an advantage for Loyola. We're not supposed to be here. How many times do you hear athletes say that? LeBron James says it all the time. I'm not supposed to be here. Well, in this case, they probably feel like we're not supposed to be here. We can play free. All the pressure's on Michigan. If it's a tight game with 5 minutes to play, Michigan feels the pressure, not Loyola. And this isn't some Cinderella that barely won a couple of games. This team was on one of the longest winning streaks in all of college basketball. They beat Florida this year at Florida. They beat Tennessee. They've beaten Miami. They've held both of those teams 12 points below their average. This is also a top 5 defensive team in the nation. They've been that all year long. They're basically small school UVA. They play exactly like UVA, except most people haven't seen them. They control the tempo. They're very patient offensively. They're excellent with their defense. And I don't think Loyola's going to be scared of Michigan at all.
Brendan, I don't know if you want to bring out the UVA comparison because UVA is still the first team ever to lose to a 16 seed team, by the way, Brendan. So don't bring up UVA ever again, please.
Well, listen,
Did we lose Brendan?
Did you lose me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, yeah, I know we're in ACC. I'm an ACC country, so UVA, listen, they let us down in the tournament, but they had an excellent regular season in the ACC. Their style of play always leads to a lot of wins. But this year, of course, they had the UMBC blunder.
We're joined now by Turner Sports and CBS Sports analyst Brendan Haywood. Brendan will be part of the Final Four studio coverage this weekend with pregame, halftime, postgame analysis, and all of the games available exclusively on TBS. And the corresponding teamcast presentations for the Final Four and National Championship will be available on TNT and True TV. Now, Brendan, if Loyola Chicago wins this thing, okay, would you be surprised?
Wins against Michigan or wins at all?
If they win it all, if they win the national title, they take down Michigan, they beat either Villanova or Kansas. If they win the national title, would you be surprised?
Yes. Now, if they were able to not only beat Michigan but then beat a Kansas or Villanova, and I'm a big Villanova supporter, I would be incredibly surprised because this would be one of the biggest upsets as far as winning a championship that we've ever seen in sports. When have we ever seen a team like Loyola Chicago win in the NCAA tournament. So we already, but it would be fitting for the tournament. We already had a 16 seed to 1 seed, and I never thought I'd see that. So if Loyola Chicago beat Villanova, it would definitely shock me, but this would be the tournament for it, because this tournament has been nothing short of crazy.
Yeah, nothing short of crazy, but like I said, there is a main event, and the main event is that nightcap, the game, 8:49 p.m. Eastern Time, number 1 Villanova versus number 1 Kansas. 2 different paths. You've seen Kansas, the emotional win over Duke in overtime. You know, Grayson Allen makes that shot. It could be Duke, but now it's Kansas. They're in that matchup, and then Villanova kind of rolling through the tournament, Jay Wright's crew. How do you see this one playing out?
I see Villanova win this game. Villanova just has so much talent. Dylan Brunson, I think, is going to possibly be National Player of the Year. He leads their team. But if he's not playing well, you have DiVincenzo, you have Mikal Bridges, they have Pascal. They have so many guys that can go through to get buckets that they're very hard to guard. They're the best three-point shooting team in college basketball. And the fact that they're able to stretch you out to the three-point line, they also have a stretch 5, Amari Spellman. So he's capable of doing things inside and outside. They stretch you out so far, and they create these incredible driving angles. And then when you try to cut them off, they knock down the three. They have the poise. They have guys that were on that championship team from 2 years ago. They have the young guys. They have NBA talent, and they have the shooting. I think Villanova is the best team in all the land, and it's been that way all season.
A couple more questions for you here, Brendan, before I let you go. Obviously, there's a couple guys that entered the NBA draft or put their name in the hat that have declared. We know Marvin Bagley of Duke, he's going to enter the draft. We saw that one coming in. Bridges over at Michigan State as well. When you look at the NBA draft coming up in June, the 2 guys or the consensus we think are going to be a 1 and 2 are Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton of Arizona. If you had the chance to pick either one at number 1, who is your guy, the number 1 pick right now in the NBA draft in 2018?
Oh, without hesitation, it's Eisen. Now, I know he's going to have to take a pay cut once he gets to the league. But all I'm saying is it too soon for Arizona?
Way too soon for that, man. Way too soon.
It's too soon for Arizona? I've had like 4 to 5 really, really good ones. The Turner said I couldn't say them on TV.
No, you good.
I've been holding back a couple of them. But no, seriously, Ayton reminds me of a young David Robinson. He is so dominant offensively. He's a dominant rebounder. He's a dominant shot blocker. He's good in screen and roll. The reason why I would take him over Marvin Bagley is defensively, Marvin Bagley gets lost. Sometimes on the weak side, in screen and roll coverage. All of that is one of the main reasons why Duke was forced to go zone this year, because they struggled with him in man-to-man, and specifically his rotation. There were teams that I know their coaching staff, when Duke went to a zone, they wanted to target the area where Marvin Bagley was at, because they said, hey, we can overload his side. He doesn't really understand, or he doesn't get his defensive rotations just yet. And a lot of young guys don't get defensive rotations. So it's not an indictment of what he will be as a pro, but DeAndre Ayton gets it now. He makes his mark on defense and offense right now. I would take him over Marvin Bagley. But Marvin Bagley's really talented, but he's going to have to pick it up on the defensive end of the court.
Hey, Brendan, last one before I let you go. Today's opening day of Major League Baseball. I know you were born in New York, but you went to high school in North Carolina. Who is your baseball allegiance goes to? What is your baseball allegiance? Who is your team?
Man, listen, I don't know anything about baseball. I don't watch baseball. I guess I'll say my allegiance is to the Yankees, simply because big Jay-Z fan, so he always had me wearing the Yankee snapbacks and fitteds. That's it. I don't know anything about baseball. So I'll say go Yankees just because of that, but that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Brendan. Yeah, appreciate the time. I guess everybody's go-to is, I'll just be a Yankee fan. See, that's where the world's coming to, man.
And listen, blame Hov, blame Jay-Z.
Blame Jay-Z.
Everybody rocking the Yankee fitted. Hey, listen, hey, 38. I'm in the Jay-Z lane. He was popping when I was young.
All right, Brendan. Hey, appreciate the time, man. We'll check you out this weekend on all the coverage with CBS.
All right, man.
That's Brendan Haywood, Turner NCAA analyst. Look, you can catch Brendan. He'll be part of the Final Four studio coverage this weekend. Pre-game, halftime, post-game analysis. All of the games available exclusively on TBS. And the Teamcast, which I'm a big fan of. The Teamcast presentations for the Final Four National Championship will be available on TNT. And the one time of year, I always find out what channel is True TV.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.